Hey guys, it's your girl Samantha here, and I just wanted to report on something that I just read that came out November 3rd, 2021 from Fox News. And I don't know how believable this even is, but it says Biden labels report government to pay separated immigrants $450,000 garbage. The president says those payments are not going to happen. So President Biden responded Wednesday to a report that suggested his administration was mulling whether to make $450,000 payments to immigrants who were separated from their families at the border under former President Trump's administration, calling the reporting quote-unquote garbage and saying that it is quote-unquote not going to happen. Following remarks at the White House where he urged parents to get their children vaccinated, Biden was asked by Fox News White House correspondent Peter Doocy about the Wall Street Journal's report and whether he believes it, quote-unquote, might incentivize immigrants to attempt to enter America illegally. Biden responded, "If you guys keep sending that garbage out, yeah, but it's not true." And then Doocy asked, so this is a garbage report? And Biden said, yeah, $450,000 per person. Is that what you said? That's not going to happen. And I feel like, what if it's like a play on words? Like he's saying he's not giving them that amount but they'll give them like another amount. I just do not trust this administration at all, or white people for that matter. But so let me continue. It says, so when asked by Doocy about the reported plan days ago while attending a G20 press conference in Rome, Biden looked away and scratched his forehead. So to me, he's probably lying about what he's not going to do. So it says the original report from the Journal said that the payments would be issued to resolve lawsuits filed on behalf of parents and children who say the government subjected them to lasting psychological trauma. The Journal stated the Departments of Justice, Homeland Security, and Health and Human Services are considering payments that could amount to close to $1 million a family, though final payment amounts could change as some families will likely get smaller payouts depending on their circumstances. And I'm wondering if he's like trying to like do semantics and say, oh, it's not going to be this amount, it's going to be less. The fact that he scratched his head and didn't respond when he was first asked about it before he went to Europe, to me is very telling. And I feel like he didn't respond because he probably was blindsided. They probably didn't expect this information to get out at all, because a lot of times they give payments to the Native Americans and all these different groups, and we don't find out, black people don't find out until like way later, and it's just like on this chart, it's kind of like a rumor or whatever, but you know it happened because you can go back and look at the event or whatever, but like no one ever like really verifies it. And so I feel like when he came back and they lost in Virginia, the Democrats lost in Virginia and New Jersey, I think they lost in New Jersey. But anyways, I feel like, the Democrats, like Biden, his administration felt like they had to say something about this because they know how it looks and that ADOS is livid. So I feel like he felt like, I'm going to just address this and just say it's not true. But who believes anything that comes out of Biden's mouth? He's like the king of liars, just like most politicians and white people. So the ACLU Executive Director Anthony D. Romero suggested Biden might be out of the loop. President Biden may not have been fully briefed about the actions of his very own Justice Department as it carefully deliberated and considered the crimes committed against thousands of families separated from their children as an intentional governmental policy. And this makes me look at ACLU sideways, because I'm just like, how are you helping illegal people who are not even citizens of this country with their quote-unquote civil liberties? Doesn't make any sense. Like, you would think that'd be like the CIA or somebody like investigating and looking into that. I'm not sure why the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, would be concerning themselves with people who are not Americans. And then that brings me to my second question: why is the ACLU not working on the justice claim for ADOS? That would seem like it would fit better than you working on behalf of people who broke federal laws to come over here to begin with. And then on top of that, they are still illegal. They were never given citizenship. And so what happened was jacked up, but that might belong to another agency as far as like dealing with that situation. But I don't understand what the ACLU has to do with that, and why they're working on their behalf, but not on the actual people who built the country, like and true American citizens who built the country, who served this country, who contribute to this country, and will continue to contribute even with the reparations. So none of this shit makes sense. And the only time to me that it happens like this is because they're black. This country is anti-black, and that's the reality that nobody wants to say. So the fact that this country is anti-black, that alone is why we need justice and why we need reparations, which is part of the justice for, pain and suffering, etc. So it says, he continued to say, but if he follows through on what he said, the president is abandoning a core campaign promise to do justice for the thousands of separated families, Romero said. We call on President Biden to right the wrongs of this national tragedy. So the Journal reported that around 940 claims have been filed by immigrant families who were separated at the border. It's like, are you kidding me? You should have never been over here to begin with. It's just unbelievable. And so it says the news drew outrage from former President Donald Trump and former Vice President Mike Pence, as well as members of Congress, including Representative Dan Crenshaw, Republican of Texas, and Representative Jim Jordan, Republican of Ohio, and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who's also a Republican, also weighed in, calling it a quote-unquote slap in the face to Americans. And I might like to add, it's also a slap in the face to ADOS. So the reported Biden administration plan drew criticism in part because the $450,000 payments would exceed those given to some families of 9/11 victims and Gold Star families. And it's interesting because once more, ADOS is not even mentioned. It's like these amounts are ludicrous because ADOS is waiting on you guys to just sign a bill to just study our reparations, but you're paying all these other people ahead of us, including the 9/11 families and the Gold Star families. So yeah, everything that happened to them was a tragedy, and what happened to us was also a tragedy. And it's not our problem or our fault that you waited centuries to do what you should have did a long time ago. And as far as our justice claim goes, we want our fucking checks. And with that being said, there's also this woman named Reese Colbert that I just found, and I am livid. I do not like her. When I tried to go to her page on Twitter, I was already blocked, and I'm like, girl, bye. I don't even know who you are to be being blocked. It's like I just discovered you like today because of Vicky Dillard. But she obviously cannot deal with people who are going to be going, like, not agreeing with her, which I'm sure is many. So you are such a sellout. There's really no other word for her. She's a complete sellout. In every sense of the word. I can't stand people like this. So let me find her video. But she was talking about the reparations. Like the reparations to the illegal immigrants. And she's cussing and going off. And I'm like, girl, have you lost your mind? Have you lost your mind?
With the bullshit, I'm already seeing people, chaos agents, trying to run with this misinformation, disinformation campaign that President Biden is paying quote-unquote reparations to immigrants impacted by Donald Trump's child separation policy. Now, I know the reason why they chose the word reparations is because they want to draw a juxtaposition between the fact that American descendants of slaves, of enslaved people, have not gotten reparations, and try and make it seem like, look, Joe Biden is giving immigrants reparations before they give black people reparations. Where is our reparations at? Joe Biden ain't doing shit for black people. That's what they're trying to evoke and get people all ginned up about. Well, here are the facts. The fact is, for one, we don't even know if it's true. This is what the Wall Street Journal is reporting. That's being considered, okay? It's not even a done deal. But what we know is that there were over 5,000 people who were impacted by Donald Trump's inhumane and cruel child separation policy. Now, I know y'all motherfuckers ain't out there arguing that it was okay to separate these families. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. Now, there are hundreds, over 900 lawsuits, claims that have been filed against the United States government, claiming a number of things. The average payout being requested from lawsuits is $3.4 million. So what the Biden-Harris administration is considering is setting up a settlement system in which a family would be paid up to $1 million or $450,000 per person if only one person is involved. So do the math. 450, 3.4 million. Also, do the math. How much does it take to litigate these cases? It's not free to defend the United States government against lawsuits. Okay? So this is an orderly and a timely and a more economical solution to the fact that hundreds, if not thousands of lawsuits are being filed against the United States or have been filed against the United States. Now, it may not, they've thrown out a number of up to $1 billion. It may not be that much, depending on how many people actually file a claim. That has to happen. So this isn't a matter of reparations. It's not a matter of, look at Joe Biden doing something for immigrants and he ain't doing nothing for black people. It's a matter of settling lawsuits against the U.S. government, period.
First, I want to torture you with two 30-second clips of Larry Elder, who is running for governor of California. The recall race happens on September 4th. That we're here today.
You have an area.
The people who formerly owned us, that now the society says we should never have been owned in the first place. You don't get reparations for that. If anything, your reparation, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say, your reparation is that you weren't locked up from owning other human beings. Okay, right. So that's number one, and I'm going to let Reese jump in, but one more quick point is that I favor reparations for African Americans for slavery. We've had this discussion before. But even though I'm for reparations, I can think of arguments against reparations. They're not ones that I hold, but I can think of at least interesting,
better than his argument,
noteworthy arguments against slave reparations. But the fact that slave owners didn't get reparations for the people they previously owned is not a good argument against us getting reparations for our ancestors having been slaves. It's just
this dude to my us, and he looks like a whole white guy. It's so funny how people are so quick to totally claim their blackness when money is involved.
Point that a radio talk host makes to sound different or interesting, and I agree with you, Clay, that I can't imagine a Senator Scott, another major black Republican, endorsing that. I'm a little less sure about
He's talking too much.
Justice Thomas lands, but I tend to
and handle her business with the egg. Now the mayor's made it a little bit more racist, but am I sympathetic? Hell no, because he got his N-word wake-up call. And you know, it's really funny how, like you said, these same people, they don't see racism until it personally impacts them, or until when it's coming from the opposite side. Because if you have
her mammy voice is getting on my last nerve. It's like nails on a chalkboard. I don't like her southern accent mammy voice. It's just so like condescending and annoying.
a Republican that threw an egg at him or whatever, there wouldn't be a race issue. But because they believe that it's a Democrat or a left-leaning person, then she did have the gorilla mask, which is hella racist.
And also she wore this outfit, this whole look on the Roland Martin show. So she literally just left one show and went to another show. It's like, okay.
All of a sudden now you see racism. It's the same thing with even like Brianna Grayjoy, not to change the subject, who she talks about how identity politics is weaponized, but then when she gets some smoke, all of a sudden, oh, a black woman this, a black woman that, I'm a black woman. Like, oh, okay. So now you all black and proud when it's convenient for you. So there's a lot of that going on. But I don't feel sorry for Larry Elder. And, you know, I'm trying so hard not to use a racial slur because I try not to call black people, you know, racial slurs. There's a particular one I have in mind, starts with C, ends with N, but I'm not going to verbalize it because that's what he is. But at a minimum, I'll call him a quisling.
That's what she is. This girl is all over the place. Like, how's she calling him the C word? But then you cuss us out because you're talking about, when we talk about the immigrants getting reparations over us. This girl's lost.
That's what he is. He does the work of white supremacy. And that's why his black ass ain't gonna be governor. Because, let me tell you something, the Latinos that wasn't really fooling with...
Let me tell you something, the Latinos... I cannot listen to this child. I cannot do this. Alright guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.